Pacific Community, SPC, hosted the first Triennial Conference of Pacific Women more than 40 years ago, with the purpose to create a space where Pacific women could meet, share their experiences, and identify measures for the advancement of women.
Well, I think the biggest challenge for Pacific women today is trying to get society to see them as equal to men.
Well, I think it's for us to see what is our role in this world and to better our status as women in the Pacific.
Women I see regarded as second best. They're there but not to be heard. They're there to be seen but not to be heard.
At the 6th Triennial Conference of Pacific Women and first meeting of Pacific Ministers for Women held in Noumea in 1994, the region adopted the Pacific Platform for Action for the Advancement of Women and Gender Equality, also known as the PPA. This formed the basis of the Pacific region's participation at the 1995 World Conference for Women in Beijing.
We are all aware of the challenges that we face in reducing gender inequality.
The PPA identified 12 critical areas of concern for gender equality and women's empowerment. These later became the 13 critical areas of concern. They include health, education and training, economic empowerment, agriculture and fishing, legal and human rights, shared decision-making, environment, culture and the family, mechanisms to promote the advancement of women, peace and justice, violence, poverty, and indigenous peoples' rights. The rationale in having a regional platform was to include issues of relevance to the Pacific and to embed a Pacific context. The PPA was developed based on national plans of action, sub-regional caucus reports, and the discussions of the Pacific Non-Governmental Organizations meeting in February 1994.
In how important it is to consult women.
Over time, the Triennial Conferences became the monitoring mechanism of the PPA, providing an opportunity to review progress and obstacles for the advancement of women.
As a global community, we're coming into a critical phase in our efforts to achieve gender equality. The global community concluded the 65th session on the UN Commission on the Status of Women. These are not just bureaucratic events held far from our islands. These are vehicles for setting targets and goals, garnering international support and resources, and keeping ourselves accountable to our shared aim, improving the lives of Pacific women and girls. As we reflect on the Pacific's journey towards gender equality, the question is, are we anywhere near where we want to be? Some progress has been made and should be celebrated. For example, the Pacific compares well with global averages when it comes to women's leadership in business. But significant work is required in key areas like women's participation and leadership in political spaces, gender-based violence, and women's economic empowerment. Globally, the Pacific Island countries have the lowest representation of women in national parliaments and local governments, while rates of violence against women are amongst the highest in the world. And in our part of the world, men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in formal employment. Meanwhile, COVID-19 is disproportionately impacting women and girls, from health to the economy, from security to social protection. And as we look to build back better from the impacts of COVID-19, the 14th Triennial Conference of Pacific Women is a chance to agree on measures to help accelerate progress towards gender equality in the region. In deliberations for the Triennial, we can look to the 2017 Triennial outcomes for guidance, especially in generating knowledge to inform policies and decision-making and supporting advocacy for women's economic empowerment. We can also look to the agreed conclusions from CSW 65 for guidance, including the adoption of temporary special measures such as quotas for government and public sector leadership, encouraging political parties to nominate as many women as men candidates and to promote equal leadership in their structures, assisting survivors of domestic violence by strengthening psychosocial support and survivors' access to this support, and enhancing women's presence and leadership in all places where decisions on climate change mitigation and adaptation are taken.
The Triennial Conference of Pacific Women plays a critical role in not only monitoring progress of the PPA, but provides an opportunity to link with other national, regional, sub-regional and international gender equality mechanisms and agendas. In the past, the Triennial has provided space for some preparations for the Commission on the Status of Women, as well as reflecting on progress towards gender equality commitments, including the Pacific Leaders' Gender Equality Declaration, as well as the Beijing Declaration. The 14th Triennial Conference of Pacific Women and 7th Meeting of Pacific Ministers of Women is being hosted by the Government of French Polynesia. The theme for this year's Triennial event is Our Oceans, Our Heritage, Our Future, empowering all women in the Blue Pacific continent. The Triennial this year will focus on 3 key priority areas received from the Pacific Island countries and territories. They are gender-responsive climate justice, women's economic empowerment, and gender-based violence. The Triennial will also see the launch of the Pacific Beijing Platform for Action Plus 25 report, which will focus on the progress in implementing the BPA in Pacific Island countries and territories since the Beijing Plus 20 review report. For more information, please visit the Triennial webpage or email on hrsdcoms@sbc.int.